Thank you very much for connecting to our first virtual sixth form evening. So ordinarily this would be an evening which would be open to prospective sixth formers, whether they're already at the school or visiting from outside the school, and there'd be two aims of the evening really. One aim is to tell you about the sixth form at this school and why we think it's great and what we think it has to offer, but also there's a part of the evening where you can find out about each of the individual courses that we offer at sixth form to help you think about what courses you should do for your next steps. Ordinarily, this would be held in Gatton Hall, and you'd have a chance not only to talk to the subject heads of department, but also other subject teachers and pupils who have been doing those subjects and discuss with them and make your way around different subject areas to really just try and help you think further about which subjects you'd like to do. That part of it can't happen. What we've got to do instead to offer you is that within our sixth form courses booklet that you will be sent later, there is a link to a video talk from each of our heads of department that will talk more about the subject and give you additional information on top of what's there. Now, I know that's not the same as a discussion, but hopefully it will be something that will help you narrow your choices. If you're a pupil here, of course, over the next few weeks and months, you can be talking more with your subject teachers and with heads of department to find out more about the individual subjects. So I hope that these video talks that we're offering you are a good starter for 10. If you're not a pupil here, but you're having a look at us from outside, well, you'll still get a link to the video talks and hopefully they'll be helpful as well. What I would like to do is talk to you generally about the sixth form and about why I think the sixth form here is great. And to assist me in doing that, each of my deputy heads is going to talk to you about their areas. And I'd like to just introduce you to them now. So first of all, we've got Mr. Gale, who's the deputy head in charge of the boarding and pastoral side of the school, and you can see him there with the Gatter names behind him for what we aspire to be, and he might touch those, I don't know. And then we've got Mr. Joe Chirpak, who is our deputy head in charge of the co-curriculum and with our links with the community, and there you saw a wave from him. Now Mrs. Ria Mitchell I'll introduce you to, who's our deputy head academic. So we've got three deputies for each of the three important areas that make up the school. We are unashamedly wanting to be a school that offers an all-rounded education. We expect academic success and we expect to offer support to pupils to have academic success, but we also want them to have a great time and to feel safe here and really enjoy the extended day that we have to offer, which is of course is the boarding side of school and all of the co-curriculum activities, sports, music, drama, boarding trips, leadership opportunities. So that's why you're going to hear from each of the deputies in charge of those areas about what makes the school special in their eyes. Just to say some of the things that I think are special about the school, the number one thing I think that most people talk about is a sense of community here. I love the fact that we're a school that goes from 7 years old to 18 years old, and there's many leadership opportunities available for the sixth form in being part of an all-through school. There's a real sense of family community about the school, and that's being fostered even more strongly now by the fact that each of our boarding houses covers an age range. So you've got younger and older pupils in the boarding houses. And if you're a flexi boarder, you're of course, very actively involved with that. And if you join the sixth form as a non-boarder, we hope that you'll get fully involved with the extended day. And in a sense, as a sixth form pupil at the school, you've got two houses, if you like. You've got the boarding house that you're linked to, and that's an important part of your life in school, whether you're a boarder or a non-boarder, because all of our non-boarders are linked to houses as well and very much should feel part of that. But you've also got Sunley, which is our sixth form centre. It's a bespoke building just for the sixth form, and that's where you spend time for study periods, but also for the extended day to mix with one another, but also to study. And that's sort of the centre of your existence during the day along with the boarding school. We are a school that's growing in sixth form. We're 210 pupils at the moment, with 125 to sixth form being boarders. That's been growing over the last couple of years, and that has enabled us to grow the number of subjects that we offer. And we're very proud of the range of subjects that we offer, but also the range of courses that pupils go on to read from us. A number go on to apprenticeships, and I think we offer good pathways to allow people to excel and succeed in a whole range of choices after that. We've also got small class sizes, and that's important. Given the size of our sixth form, I like the fact that our average class size is around 10 pupils. We have had a growth in the sixth form, but we've been opening more classes in order that our average class size stays around 10, because we think they can get more individual attention and support with the truth of that. I'm going to hand over now to Mrs. Mitchell, who can tell you more about the academic sphere that she's in charge of. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Now, of course, as Mr. Dixon alluded to there, ensuring excellent academic outcomes for all of our pupils is a #1 key priority here at RAS. Now, we offer a range of pathways that pupils can follow, and that includes 26 different subjects, which also includes 5 BTEC options as well. Our general entry requirement is 5 GCSEs at grade 4 to 9, including English and Maths. And then, of course, there are specific entry requirements for those different courses, which are in the course booklet. But our results are truly exceptional here. With last year's outcomes, we achieved ALPS 2, and what that means is that demonstrates that our sixth form is ranked within the top 10% of schools and colleges nationally in terms of the progress that our children make. Now, in addition to those academic pathways, all of our pupils in Year 12 undertake either the pre-U course in Global Perspectives or undertake the extended project qualification. Now, both of these carry the all-important UCAS points, but what is more important about those is the fact that they foster the independent learning, the critical thinking that are pivotal for success post-sixth form. As you'll hear from my colleagues, we are about more than just exceptional academic results, and initiatives such as the sixth form lecture programme really ensures that our pupils are able to flourish beyond the classroom, whether that's attending talks on finance, whether it's about supporting well-being, learning vital first aid, or listening to inspirational speakers. For example, we have a speaker on Médecins Sans Frontières. We offer robust programmes to support pupils in their next steps, whether that's, for example, university or a high-level apprenticeship. But we also offer bespoke programmes for those pupils we have who are applying to Oxford or Cambridge, or for courses such as medicine or dentistry. We're proud of the number of pupils each year who gain places at Russell Group universities and at Oxford, and they all tell us that choosing sixth form at the Royal Alexandra and Albert School really was an excellent first step towards that bright future.
Good evening. The boarding provision at Royal Alexandra and Albert School really defines the nature of what our school is. It makes an exceptional contribution to the overall pastoral care and personal development of all of our pupils and students. Research indicates that boarding can play a major role in providing rich experiences to develop skills which are necessary for well-rounded adults to live fulfilling and enriching lives. Boarding also has more immediate and tangible effects, raising the level of achievement in academic, sporting, musical, creative and dramatic fields. Our sixth form boarders benefit from growing independence as they are supported to take greater levels of responsibility. Our boarding facilities for sixth formers reflect their age, with greater privacy and resources, and many of our new sixth formers are able to join us to reside in our flagship building of Gatton Hall with some spectacular views over the park and some great resources there. A recent change to vertical boarding structure means our houses have boarders ranging from age 11 to 18. This has increased the range of leadership opportunities our students have to support younger pupils, to influence the systems we have and to leave a positive legacy behind them. As well as the option for full boarding, we have a non-boarding pathway. Our sixth form day pupils still have access to all of our facilities, as Mr. Dixon has explained, and most importantly, the Sunley Centre, which is open every evening to allow our students to study. I'd like to finish on two quotes from two of our exceptional boarders that have been here on a journey from junior boarders, secondary boarders, all the way into sixth form. The first, in the sixth form, you are given the freedom and independence to develop skills and grow into your own person, ready for the outside world. The second mirrors this. You can develop maturity and independence within a safe environment with support available if needed, while having the opportunity to develop and discover your qualities as an individual. I think they beautifully encapsulate what boarding at RAS means. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Joe Chirpak, Deputy Head Co-curricular.
Good evening. The co-curriculum at RNA is one of the three pillars of education that are the foundation of the school's ethos and a strong reason why parents choose the sixth form at RNA. We have an unrivaled co-curricular programme when compared to state schools and many independent schools. That is also excellent value for money. Our aims are twofold really. We aim to provide a broad range of activities so there's something for everybody, and at the same time offer clear pathways for pupils to develop to higher levels should they want to, through sport, the arts, leadership, recreation and outdoor adventure. Sport and the arts are highly valued here. We have a very strong fixture list and host a range of musical and drama performances, and very much part of our ongoing calendar throughout the year. We have a thriving Duke of Edinburgh programme, a model United Nations group, a number of academic societies and clinics, and we are very soon to be one of the first state schools to be a Steinway school, a centre of excellence for the piano. Character education is a big part of what we do here. We strongly believe that a Gatton pupil is prepared for life after school in an ever-changing society. We want them to develop life skills as well as academics. We have a range of character clubs and leadership opportunities. The Global Leader Award is our pride and joy, a bespoke leadership programme exclusively for RANA sixth formers. Pupils are actively encouraged to step out of their comfort zones to develop their skills and experiences in leadership, careers and university, global citizenship and volunteering, so they can take those skills on to their next stages. We have a number of close partnerships with local community groups, in particular with a number of local charities. The pupils really enjoy engaging with the local community by hosting events on site and going out to events outside the school. There really is a culture of helping others here at Gatton. We also have a fantastic range of educational and recreational trips, including sports tours and overseas community projects. Finally, we have a scholarships programme, and we offer scholarships for both music and sport at sixth form because we want to recognise and nurture excellence in these areas. And more details can be obtained from either myself or the marketing team. The sky is really the limit here for students at RANA in the co-curriculum. Thanks for listening.
So thank you very much to my colleagues there for presenting. And now there's an opportunity for us to answer any questions that you may have. If you'd like to type them in to the chat box, and then I'll defer your questions to one of my colleagues to give you an answer about any aspect of our sixth form or any aspect of our school. But please feel free. One question we've had is what happens next after you apply, and I'll say a little bit about that first of all. And that's to say that once you've applied, and deadlines are on our website and coming up in November, once you apply, we'll then organise an interview with you. Either in school if you're an internal, or it will be over Teams if you're an external. So we'll then try and work with you to think about what subjects you want to choose. It's very helpful for us if you can indicate your subject choices at the stage of applying, but you don't necessarily need to be fixed on that. But of course we need to think about how many classes we're going to run for particular subjects, but you are able to change your mind during the year. We just ask that you let us know if you want to tweak subject choices. And of course, over the summer, after GCSE results come out, there's often a little bit of changing around, and that's quite possible. Sometimes we get pupils who will start doing particular courses and then after they've started wish to change. And again, we're very flexible about that. What we try and ask pupils to do is to do subjects for the first 3 weeks to really give them a proper trial before they consider changing. But then we do enable change if it's possible on the timetable at that point. There's a question here about how you can apply for sports scholarships, and again the details of the sports scholarship program is on the website and the deadlines for that are there. What we'll ask you to do is give us some information about the level that you play in particular sports, and then we'll carry out an assessment with you. We'll ask for references as well if you play those sports, you know, for particular teams, etc., or at a particular level. We'll get references which will help us assess as to which people should have sports scholarships there. Joe Chirpak, is there anything you'd like to add about sports scholarships, please?
No, I think you've covered it mostly there, Headmaster. I think the only thing I would add is that we probably focus more on some of the traditional game sports, rugby, netball, cricket, football and swimming. There are probably our main sports, but we would consider multi-sports players and other ones. In terms of the music, that's probably a similar kind of setup. We're looking for individual instruments and players, but if you're multi-talented, again, we would consider that. And obviously piano is obviously going to be a major strength moving forward. So I think that's probably worth adding.
So there's another question. There's another question about what other scholarships are available. Do check the website, but there's essentially 3 different types of scholarships. One is a sports scholarship, another is a music scholarship, and then there's a general leadership scholarship to apply for. And look at our website for details of the deadlines for those, but those are the 3 scholarships that we offer for entrance to the 6th form. Now, a couple of questions have come in about options, and I wonder, Mrs. Mitchell, if I could ask you to answer these. One question is, what's the latest time people can switch? And then there's another question which is asking if it's possible for people to do 4 subjects at A-level. Could you cover those, please?
Yeah, so first of all, if I take the question about switching your options. Now, between now and results day for your GCSEs and the period from results day to the start of the academic year 2021, there's often quite a lot of different things going through your mind, and absolutely we ask for an indication on the option sheet of what options you would like to do, and that just really helps us to build the timetable and of course make sure we have staff available to teach those subjects. We then have a window within the autumn term where we are able to make switches within, and the headmaster, you are absolutely right, it's around 3 weeks, and that's because we want to make sure you have a good start with your options, but obviously we don't want you to then change too late, because then you've missed too much content. And actually one of the priorities when you ask to change is actually that we have to be sure that you're going to be able to catch up on that work. Actually, not many students do change that much when they start their A-levels, and I think that's because there's quite a process going into that, so that you make sure you make the right choices for you. And I absolutely would encourage you to seek careers advice. If you're one of our internal students, you'll be meeting with Heidi Legg, and if you're an external student, have some advice over actually what's the best pathway for you. The second question I was asked there, Mr. Dixon, can you remind me what the second question was?
Yes, it's about 4 A-levels. Can people do 4 subjects?
Thank you. So the majority of our students do 3 subjects plus the global perspective or the extended project qualification. We do have some students that ask to do 4 subjects. That is a very academically very rigorous pathway to go through, and that's something that we would need to take on a case-by-case basis if we genuinely thought that that was the right thing to do. Where it most commonly happens is where a student does maths and then maybe their 4th subject is further maths, because obviously that kind of works together, but as I say, it's a case-by-case nature that we would work with you if that was the right pathway for you.
Thank you. There's a particular question from someone who wanted to ask about whether their daughter could do equine studies here. Now, you don't find equine studies in our course booklet, as we don't offer that, but I would just want to give a general answer to this question. If you find something that you particularly want to do that's not in our subject booklet, rather than just sort of being put off and perhaps dismissing the idea of coming to the sixth form, get in contact with us, because I think what we'd be interested in doing is discussing with you potential alternatives to that. I mean, we are lucky enough, in the case of horses, we're lucky enough to have very functioning stables here with 30 horses, and I think we could certainly be looking to support someone who's got an interest in all things equine, even if we can't necessarily offer the A-level in it. And that may be something that would work for a whole range of subjects. Talk to us. There is the option, for example, in the sixth form, to do the extended project qualification. And from time to time, pupils will do that, and it's where they would do a project of their choice, and then they would research it and produce an essay, or perhaps a video, or some other presentation method on an area of their choice. So what I could foresee someone doing, for example, is picking 3 A-levels or BTECs or a mix of those, and then doing an extended project qualification in equine studies or something linked with horses. And that is a way that you can make the A-levels and BTECs at RAS fit the shape that you need it to utilise in the extended project qualification, which is taken very seriously by universities and colleges and is worth, you know, half an A-level in weight as well. There was another question to just ask if we offer academic scholarships, and we don't. We don't offer any academic scholarships, and we don't have entrance exams for that, because we're a comprehensive school and we value the fact that we have a great diversity in pupils in terms of academic strengths. But you know, excellence is reached by them all for their levels. I mean, as you heard from Mrs. Mitchell say, we were in the top 10% of schools for progress, and we had large numbers going on last year to the Russell Group universities, but then other pupils for which other choices were fantastic for them. This year we've got a couple of pupils trying for Oxford or Cambridge. We've got some pupils trying for medicine, veterinary science, a whole range of courses. We don't offer academic scholarships because we're not just about being selective at the academic range, but there are leadership scholarships available because we're more interested in the scholarships for the whole rounded leadership skill, and you'll see information about that on the website. A question's been asked about what an average day is like for an average sixth form boarding student, and maybe Joe Gale, can you come in with that? They want to ask what time they get out of bed, or perhaps are forced out of bed, depending on the pupil, I guess. But Joe, if you can go into an average sixth form boarding day, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the day will begin at around 7 o'clock or just before, and then they go for breakfast. Now we give slightly more flexibility to our sixth form boarders and breakfast. They do have the capacity to use the house kitchen located in the annex or in Gatton Hall, located in the main common room. Pupils can therefore choose what they want to have for their breakfast, and then or they can go over to the dining hall and join the rest of the house in having a cooked breakfast. School starts at 8:35 in the same, sorry, 8:30 is the same as it does for all other pupils, and the day will span until 3:35. So they follow the same structure of the day as the rest of the school. They do have some free periods that will vary depending on their programme of study, and maybe my colleague Mrs. Mitchell could come in at a later stage and just say exactly how many study periods they have in a week. At the end of the day, they will go back to the house. There will be a co-curricular offer in the afternoon that they can engage with, which is from 4 till 5. We had been running it from 4 till 5:30 for a period, but that's the rough ballpark of when co-curricular activities take place. They'll come to tea, and that varies because it's a rota for all the houses, and tea will be until around 6:30, and then they will have prep in the evening. Now they can do their prep in the house or in Sunley. Some pupils are directed to go to Sunley to get a little bit extra support, and then Sunley is open till late in the evening, where they can go back to the house have some downtime, and then their curfew is around 10:30, and we expect them to make their way back to their dorms and then have lights out at a reasonable time. We try to be a little bit more relaxed in boarding houses about the bedtime. We want to treat you like young adults. We only have more sort of firm conversations if maybe you're not using the structure to the best of your ability or the freedom to the best of your ability. So we do really like to give as much freedom to our boarders as possible, whilst giving guidance and support to make sure they're getting enough sleep to function in the day and perform at the standards we want them to.
One of the questions we've just had here is how many free periods do pupils get a week? Maybe this is coming from a year 11 pupil. If you're currently in year 11, you get no free periods, and perhaps one of the most exciting things about sixth form periods is the fact you get free periods. Well, you look in general for each of your A-level subjects, you'll have 6 classes during the week, and then there's a sixth form study period. There's also the games period, and there's a sixth form tutor period per week. So in general, sixth formers will have 1 free period, sometimes 2 free periods every day of their 6-period days. We call them study periods because actually we expect them to be used for study either in the sixth form Sunley building or other study rooms around the school, and we really encourage the pupils to make best use of their study periods during the day to keep on top of their A-level work and to learn independent study so that they're ready for the next course afterwards. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mrs. Mitchell?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Mr. Dixon. We call our when pupils are not in lessons, they're in private study, and that is the time when they can kind of do prep, catch up on revision. Sometimes actually what students do in that time is they're working with other students on the same course, and really that's what Sunley looks like quite a lot of the time, definitely in the evening and at parts during the day. You'll have the kind of psychologists all around the table, and they'll be working together, or the mathematicians working through a problem, and we really like to foster that kind of environment. I would say though that whilst hard work absolutely is at the centre of it, I think you won't mind me saying, Mr. Dixon, it's not all work and no play. There's quite a lot of a social element to being in the sixth form. There's Christmas dinners, there are events that go on down in Sunley, there's a cafe down there, and things like that as well, not to mention the events that go on in the boarding house as well, which Mr. Gale would be able to talk more about. But definitely hard work during the day, but lots of hard work and good fun with each other as well.
Yeah, and I think just to come in on that aspect, I think the Sunley Sixth Form Centre really lends itself to a professional atmosphere. There is a cafe there, so they can, you know, have coffee, tea, snacks, etc. But there's an environment where they can work together or individually, and they do that. I mean, I'm always impressed actually when I walk through the Sunley Centre and see, you know, an atmosphere of pupils working positively and constructively together during their free periods. And of course it hasn't got the rigour of a lesson, but there is a real sense of purpose in the Sunley Centre, which I think is important. There's a question from someone asking about new pupils into the sixth form and how they join in, and we certainly for the first few days of sixth form life we organise activities to help the new pupils get to know each other, but also the pupils that are already here. In percentage terms, I would say we normally would have around a third, 33% of pupils would be new from outside, and 66% of pupils will have come from our school. So there's a large number of new pupils that joined the school. This year it was over 40 new pupils joining the school, a large number of which were boarders, and the activities in the boarding houses help with this, but also the getting to know each other events that we put on helps. The free periods in the Sunley Centre where they're together, so if you're a new pupil you'll have subjects with some people that you'll get to know, but there's free time in the sixth form centre where you'll get to know others. There's the boarding house where you'll get to know a different group of pupils, and then there's your sports and activity choices. So very quickly there's lots of opportunities just to get to know lots of other pupils. So we find that generally happens very well. There's a question also asked about whether year 11s will have an opportunity to look at the sixth form boarding houses and the sixth form boarding accommodation. During COVID, we're not really able to do this, so we're organising instead virtual tours, so video tours where you'll be able to see the insides of the sixth form accommodation. That's not up and ready yet, but we're on the process of doing that, and we'll send that out to you. So I hope that will help. A question here about how are weekends like for sixth form boarders, and what happens at the weekends. Well, we have Saturday morning lessons, and then after Saturday morning lessons, we've then got a range of activities for sixth formers to get involved with in terms of the boarding trips programme. I think maybe Joe Chirpak, could you say something about sixth form life at weekends? Would that be possible?
Yeah, so Headmaster mentioned the boarding trips programme. That's one aspect of what goes on at the weekend. I mean, the weekend for sixth form is a good opportunity to consolidate and rest up, and the houses are very good environments for doing that. So there's an obvious social side in the houses, which many of our houses are very good at incorporating our students in that respect. We run a full boarders trip programme. So every weekend on a Saturday afternoon and on a Sunday, we have recreational trips going out to various places that can be all over the local area and the surrounding area. You name it, we tend to go there on a visit. So there's lots of opportunities for overseas students to get to know a little bit more about the southeast of England and London and various other things. There's lots of exciting shows that we can go to, and we're in a great location in that sense. And the other thing I'd probably mention is that we have a number of pupils of our boarders that also link to local groups in the community. So a number play sports and go and attend music groups and arts groups in the local community. So there's a whole range of very good community sports clubs in the area in particular. And a lot of our pupils go out and play sport at the weekend as well, or various other events that are around, and we can utilise that. So there's lots of options for the pupils to be pretty busy at the weekend.
And I'd like to come in to say something about activity choice as well. Lots of our pupils get involved with activities, clubs, boarding trips, all the way during the week and weekends. But particularly for sixth form, there's an option where they can get involved as a leader of a whole range of activities. And this is absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that we'll have sixth formers helping in junior school, whether it's in the junior boarding, reading to other boarders, whether it's getting involved with coaching sport, whether it's getting involved with helping them with subjects or with music or with art or just craft clubs. And that can happen also in the senior school, where we have sixth formers wanting to run clubs or activities for younger pupils to do. And this is lots of fun, but it also gives them leadership opportunities. And many of them do that. And actually, both sides gain hugely from that, the sixth formers and the younger pupils. And we like being a school which has that sort of community feeling or family feeling, if you like, where everyone can get involved in that way. We're almost at the end, but I'm just seeing if there are any other questions. There is an interesting question here. If a day pupil has no lessons on a Saturday, would they still have to come in? Firstly, they will have lessons on a Saturday, because we always timetable the lessons to be spread as evenly as we can all the way through the week. And yes, Saturday morning school it is an expectation for all pupils. If you're not used to Saturday morning school, it takes a little bit getting used to, but actually we find our sixth formers who join the school and haven't had Saturday morning school before very quickly get into that rhythm of finding out that it's not as painful as perhaps they first thought that it is. And we don't have an issue really with sixth formers finding that it can't work for them, even if they haven't had it before. But there will be lessons for all on Saturday, so it is a compulsory part of schooling here. There's a question that was asked from boarders, because we've got boarders in year 11 as a group listening to this in Gatton Hall, so a big welcome to you. And one of the questions is, how do the grades compare at our school with pupils and colleges nationally? Well, as Mrs. Mitchell said, the performance at A levels last year put us in the top 10%. of schools nationally in terms of how pupils did compared to what you would have predicted from their GCSE results. You can't just look at our number of A grades and compare with other schools, because that will vary depending on how selective other schools are. So what we do is we look at how our pupils do in terms of expected results compared to expected results elsewhere. And last year we were in the top 10% of schools at A-level results, and that's something we're rightfully proud of, and what we aspire to do is to stay at that range so that all pupils can get what they need in terms of going on to their next steps. Here's a question: as a sixth former, can we make our own clubs or suggest club ideas? Definitely. Really love the idea of not sixth formers suggesting clubs, although they can, but sixth formers making a decision to lead a club. 3 years ago, we had a sixth former that was very keen on debating and led us to get involved with Model United Nations, which is an activity that happens across lots of schools. Fast forward to now, and we have a situation where lots of our pupils get involved with Model United Nations. They compete in competitions for Model United Nations. So that just came from one sixth former wanting to get involved to it becoming a big activity at the school. And we're very happy to support sixth formers that want to lead activities and introduce activities to the school, whether it being a bespoke sport like Octopush, which is underwater hockey, or whether it be a wargaming club, or whatever it might be. We're keen to support.
Can I come in on that on a slightly related point, Headmaster?
Please do.
Yeah, I think I've worked very closely with some sixth form boarders in the last 2 years, looking at introducing not just necessarily clubs, but sort of movements within the school. We had 2 pupils who were very keen to change our community, or continue to change our community for the better, looking at unkindness, which happens in all schools across the country, and tackling bullying. We're very proud of our record, but they wanted to make it even better, and they have established an anti-bullying ambassador group that we've supported. We also have other pupils who have launched initiatives looking at noting big benchmark days through the years, such as World Mental Health Day, and that was something that was completely structured and run by sixth form boarders and pupils. In addition to that, in the boarding houses, quite often I have the heads of house telling me about sixth formers developing initiatives or hosting events within the houses to make it a little bit more fun, such as, you know, sort of performance shows, or looking at people showcasing their talents, so talent shows and bake-offs and all sorts. So it is really, as you've said a few times before, a community feel where the sixth formers really can influence things and set things up, and we're happy to support them to do that, to continue to improve the life that they have here on the school grounds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gale. So we've actually gone 10 minutes over the published finish time, but please take the time to look at all of the subject videos when you can. And if you've still got a question which hasn't been answered, please just email the school and we'll make sure we get back in touch with you. Or if you're a year 11 pupil, you can ask Mrs. West or Mr. Shea, or just ask one of the deputy heads or myself directly, and we'll get an answer to you. Thank you very much for tuning in, and very much look forward to seeing you in our sixth form. Thank you. Goodbye.